Hello, artist. Welcome back to Creating a Studio Together. It is Friday, March 5th, 2021, and the week has been spectacular. I hope you've enjoyed the sun, even the gloom, because Wednesday was a pretty gloomy day, but it was so warm. So I hope you've been out enjoying it, or at least enjoying it from your window. Get out there if you can. There's colder weather coming in the next week, so enjoy it all you can when it's 60 out there. Okay, so last week I gave you an assignment to do a drawing every day. I will tell you, I had a big, huge fail. I didn't do a drawing every day. Thought about drawings every day, and I even pulled together drawings that I love, but I didn't stick to that process. And I realized if I don't get committed to my art, I'm not really committed to myself and the things that I need. So what did I do this week? I learned a lot about the way that people are using art to heal. Art as a way to stay grounded, art as a way to cope, art as a way to survive. And that makes me feel really refreshed and like I'm right on track here as an art therapist, that people are using art, in the way arts can help us so much by really helping us express how we feel and what's going on in our lives. So I just heard wonderful stories this week of how art is impacting people, how it's helping them heal, helping them survive. So if you're out there and you're not making art, or you're not writing, or you're not reading, or you're not doing those things that rejuvenate you, that get you in touch with yourself, do them, because that's what keeps us going, and that's what keeps us reminded of who we are and what we want from life. So, reminder to myself, I need to stick to process. I need to do those things. I did make art this week. I did do that. But my challenge to all of us last week was make a piece of art each day, even if it was a little scribble, even if it was a little doodle on a piece of paper. So today, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about fear. Sometimes fear can keep us stuck, and fear can keep us demobilized from the things we want most in life, the things we want to do, and on a very small scale, from just creating the studio space. Some days I'm really stuck. I think, what is the next step? What is the next step of creating this tiny studio? And on the big scale things, this tiny studio doesn't matter all that much, right? But on a day-to-day basis, this little tiny studio means a lot to me. And then over the course of life, if I didn't commit to that little tiny thing that I wanted to create, then I will get to some point and realize, hey, I wanted to do that so long ago and I never did it. So it is a big, gigantic stepping stone for me to stay committed to this process. So fear can keep us stuck. It can keep us where we don't want to be. And so we're going to look at fears today. I want to think about, what is it that you fear? What keeps you from being that artist, that person that you want to be? What is it? And I'm going to encourage you in your art making this week to make a big mess, to work on those fears, to put them out there. What do I fear? So a couple of weeks ago, I created a little Post-it note, and I encouraged you to as well. So this week, the challenge is to make 5 Post-it notes to yourself. Now, you might not have a Post-it. You might have a scrap of paper. A scrap of paper works fine. Rip a scrap of paper and write your thought on it. So it can be, what do you fear most? What I fear, or what keeps me stuck, or I am. And so a few weeks ago, I said, you are endlessly creative. Now, that is about me, but it's also about you, because I know that you are as well. So your creativity is what's going to get you out of being stuck. So 5 Post-it notes on your studio wall here. Now, some of you might be saying, I don't have a studio yet. Well, my question to you is, why not? Why don't you have that studio space yet? Even if it's a 1 by 1 foot of space on your dining room table, make it happen. Even if it's your bed and you start sticking Post-its all over the wall by your bed, and then 1 hour each night you're going to sit on your bed and you're going to make a little art, or you're going to write in your journal, or you're going to draw and write in your journal, or you're going to read that book that's sitting by your bedside. So we all can make those things happen for ourselves. So the notes are going to be a reminder of us, of those things, whether I am and those positive things in my life I need to be reminded of, or my fears. And I'm going to go the direction this week of fears, because next week we're going to look at strengths and overcoming our fears. So today I'm going to put out my fears. What do I fear? What do I fear? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. One of the things I fear is depression. I really fear depression because I know that when I get to that place, I am really stuck. So I have to work really hard to make sure I don't get to that place, that kind of devastatingly low place in my life. I've got to work really hard to be aware of how I'm feeling, of how I'm doing each day. I have to check in with myself. I've got a friend who says, what does she say? Check yourself. She says, check yourself. Now that's kind of a modern day phrase that a lot of young people use, but she always says, check yourself. And so she's usually talking to younger people when she says, like, hey man, check yourself. But what she's really saying is, hey, are you for real? Are you being honest with yourself? Are you looking at you, and are you paying attention to the things that you need and the things that you are saying? And so I remind myself all the time of those words when, I hear her say them, when I need to hear them myself, check yourself. So I have to always be doing that day in and day out to make sure I don't get to that really stuck place in my life. So that one of the things I fear. I also fear the moment I'll run out of ideas. I've talked about that before, but I've never talked about fearing it because it just doesn't happen. It hasn't happened yet. There was a time when I wondered, like, where will all my ideas come from? And then all of a sudden they started coming and they never stop. So I wonder one day if they might stop, or I might not be able to draw from them. Not draw in the sense of draw a picture from them, but, draw from my creativity, from the depths of my creativity, not be able to pull from that. So I fear that as well. So those are some of the things that I fear in terms of my personal life and my creativity. So what is it that you fear? What holds you back? One thing I hear all the time, and I say it myself, there is not enough time. And I tell you, there is not enough time for anything in our lives, right? But what I find is that we have to make the time, right? We have to carve out that time. We have to make the time, or our lives are going to slip on by without doing those things that we really want to do. So when I look at people doing or having all of these wonderful adventures in their lives, I'm like, how do they do that? How did they make that happen? And where did they get the money? And then I realize having adventures and making time for the things we love is not about money. And all of us have the same amount of time. We've got 7 days a week, we have 24 hours a day, and we have lots of things going on in our lives. So we have to make it a priority to go on those adventures, live that adventure that we want to live. So all of that is a part of, fear, fearing that there's not enough time. I don't have enough time. I just have too much on my plate. There's too much happening. And I need to get to my taxes. I hear that a lot because that's what I've been saying to myself for the last 3 weeks. Get your taxes done. Well, I'm going to get my taxes done. April 15th is around the corner. I will get my taxes done. But that's one of those other excuses I put out there, like not enough time and all of this other stuff has to happen first. Not true. I'm not going to do my taxes today. I'm not going to do them tomorrow. Probably won't even do them this weekend. But I will get them done. So I have to stop using excuses of things I'm not even going to accomplish or even think about today. Not thinking about my taxes today. Not even anywhere on my mind. I just know they're on my to-do list. They have to be done. So I've got to stop using excuses of those things that don't matter today. My taxes don't matter today at all. They just don't. So what can I do about today? So I want to encourage you, take one day at a time. These fears of ours are really big, but in the big scheme of things, they're so simple and so small. And often they're just a mask of excuses, right? Because like for my fear, the idea that I'm going to run out of creativity, well, been around for a little while and my creativity hasn't stopped yet. So sometimes our fears are not even based in reality. You know, there has not been a time when I've run out of those ideas. And so there are times when people say, well, what do you think? What idea do you have? And I might not have an idea in the moment, but give me an hour or two or a day, and I can have 20 ideas for you. So a lot of times our fears are just not based in our what's happened before or what might happen. And they just kind of hold us down. They tie us down, almost like this gigantic boulder. We're tied down to it. And that boulder is really just made of air, not stone, not something heavy, not something that we're tied to, but just this thing that's kind of imaginary. So that's how I think of fears. So your challenge this week, to do all of those fears or I ams, put them up in your space, even if your space is your bedroom wall, whatever it is. And I wanted to share with you quickly these wonderful cards that I found. And I just dropped one, so I'm going to use two. I love to use things that I find in children's work. So found this company online called Little Renegades. They sell two products. That's all they sell. They sell Little Renegades Mindful Kids. It's a daytime version. And then they sell Little Renegades Mindfulness Kids bedtime version. And they are cards, and they're really yoga and meditative cards to help calm and center and focus our thoughts, and specifically for kids. But they're so beautiful with watercolors on them. So this side this is a brave mountain. This side is featherless feather. And then on the back, instructions on different processes you can do. So I just want to share with you, the guided meditations are on the back, or the exercises are on the back. So Brave Mountain. So Brave Mountain, I'm just going to use the front of it and read it to you. And Brave Mountain says, eye touching the sky, you keep watch over creatures great and small. So I love that idea that we each are brave, and being brave is like being on the top of a mountain and looking over everything in our lives. So think about that. You're brave through all this fear. Okay, and then featherless feather. So this is more of a breathing exercise. So featherless feather says, if you could sit up nice and tall where you're at right now, your back against the chair, or if you don't have a back on your chair, just sit up nice and tall, feet grounded on the ground, feeling that your feet are connected to the earth, even if the earth is your living room carpet or wherever you're sitting, you are grounded to the earth as a human being. And it says, with your eyes closed, so if you'll close your eyes, breathe in and breathe out. And say out loud, I am brave. I am brave. Pretty simple, right? Featherless Feather says, I am brave. We can all say that, right? But do we believe it? So next week, we're going to talk about how we each are brave. This week, we're going to look at how we look at fear, how we feel it, how it stops us. So do your Post-it notes and see what happens. Put them up on your wall. And I don't care if you doodle on them or if you write, I fear mice. I fear thunder. Whatever it is you fear, put it out there. Or if you're feeling like that's not the most helpful and you want to look at who you are, I am. What are the things that you are? Make a Post-it note and put it up on your wall. Okay, when we come back next week, we're going to be talking about how brave you are and the strengths you have. So I'll see you next week on, oh my gosh, I said this week was March 5th. It is not March 5th. I'm a week behind. It is March 12th. It's my daughter's birthday. Oh my goodness. And then another daughter's birthday tomorrow. So I am sorry. We are on week 9, now week 8. I am apparently can't read a calendar right. Today is March 12th, and I need to recheck my calendar. So we're on week 9. We've got a couple of weeks left, 2 weeks left of our time together in creating a studio. So if you haven't made your studio, no more excuses. Get it started. And send me your photos to jennifer.bethel@oakwoodvillage.net, or give me a call and I will come visit your studio and take some pictures to share with others. Okay, thanks so much. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy the weather.